Welcome to the Network Marketing Made Simple podcast. I am your host, Scott Aaron, and each and every week I'm going to come to you with short, simple, and powerful tactics of how you can grow your network marketing business, brand, bank account, and impact on those around you. And just remember, network marketing is not easy, but it can be made easy with simple steps to create the success that you truly deserve. So Kevin, welcome to today's episode, and super excited about today's episode for a number of reasons. I love connecting with other inspiring entrepreneurs that have done amazing things, but in the marketing and digital world, and the whole capacity that social media, but also online brings us. Kevin and I connected through LinkedIn of all places. And we had an intro call a few weeks ago and just really hit it off. And we just saw eye to eye on so many things. And after we discussed multiple facets of marketing and everything that's going on, I just felt it was really timely and important to have him on the podcast. So Kevin, first, welcome to today's episode. Second, if you could, for my audience that is not familiar with you and your firm's work, just a little brief description of you and what you do. But more importantly, the question that I always love starting my episodes with was, what was the moment for you when you had your entrepreneurial spark lit?
Excellent. Well, thanks a lot for having me on. And I'm excited to have, to be on here with your audience. So I'll give you first my spark, I guess. Coming out, I was really a C student through high school. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew what I liked to do, but it really wasn't in line with kind of school. And so I built websites and things like that on the side for fun all through high school. So, and I use those to my advantage for final projects and getting extra credit when no other kid in my school was doing anything like that. But I still didn't really grasp that it was this potential career path. So I came out of school, went to a trade school that I randomly kind of picked, went into drafting, like CAD, AutoCAD type stuff. And I liked that. I like to design things and draw and all that kind of stuff. But while I was at this firm, I was at a corporation for about 3 years. And I continued to do design work and continue to do these kinds of marketing things and websites on the side. And really the spark for me was when, for one, I first had my paid kind of side gig. That was kind of like okay, wait a minute, there's something here. And the other thing was just being in the corporate world and kind of being just stuck in a cubicle. And, it was just about the hours that I billed and sat in that seat. But I think the ultimate thing for me was really my company coming around to do a projection of your retirement when you're like 65 years old. And I guess in the back of my mind somewhere, that wasn't what I thought I would end up being when I'm 65 years old. I was shocked at the fact that it wasn't anywhere close to what I was thinking. And so I just was like, I got to do something now and something drastic. And I pretty much immediately quit with no savings, no plan, nothing, and just started my own website design company, which led into kind of where I'm at now. So
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, what would you say, we're going to dive into the entrepreneurial side, but what would you say is the biggest lesson that you learned while you were in corporate that enabled you to become so successful in the entrepreneurial world?
Well, as far as the corporate world itself, I mean, honestly, I just, it was a good company that I worked for. They drove hard. If you stuck through it and worked long hours, you would make a lot of money at this place and through this company. But it was, what I really saw was time and balance, life balance. It was not going to be there for sure. Of course, at the time I was single, I wasn't married, and have kids. So that place becomes really tough to stay at if you have those type of things. So I just really saw the side that I don't want to be and the kind of company I didn't want to run. And I learned a lot about culture and things that I didn't want to become. Again, great company, great benefits, great everything else. And I learned a lot about that too. So now my company, Array Digital, which is this marketing agency, I guess I didn't really say much about that, but I can give you more details in a second. But that company has always inspired me because of its how it takes care of their people, their benefits, and how structured they were. And so in process, so we have really tightened things up over the last couple of years. Where when I first started the company, it was just kind of whatever, like everything goes, it doesn't matter. We're just here to work and make some money. Over the last couple of years, it took about 10 years or so to get where we're at now. We have a lot of process, we have a lot of structure, but it's a lot of great culture and things as well. But we know we need to document things and have processes so we can scale this thing. And my whole team knows that too. So they're kind of on board with that. And we're able to offer right now full benefits and lots of things. And we're not, laying anybody off. Everyone's fully salaried right now. And we're actually growing during this time where most people are pulling back or, losing their jobs and stuff like that. So we really feel we have a lot to owe to kind of, again, the processes that we have in place and the structure that we have and keeping things lean and tight. So,
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to actually talk about right now, because I've been speaking about this for probably since this pandemic hit, in mid-March, that, you know, these are not unprecedented times. That things like this have happened before. It's just it's a little bit more in people's faces right now because of the prevalence of social media and the internet and all those things. And obviously, people are really good at creating stories too, and making things bigger than they may actually be. And again, I'm not going
sure.
to go into that propaganda, but all I can say is that no matter what's going on, it's still up to us to make the most of it and the best of it. And like you, my business has continued to grow in the last 2 months. It has not slowed down. It's sped up, if anything,
That's
because
awesome.
people are more available ever right now. Everybody's home. So, I mean,
Yeah,
you want to talk about not being able to talk to people, like that whole excuse of quote unquote people being too busy and I have too much going on. People are so available to talk right now. And something that I always go back to that, I learned early on in my career, but, more in the last 7 years, is the science of getting rich, which is living in a world of collaboration and creation instead of in a world of comparison and competition. And you don't want to compete or compare yourself. You really want to seek collaboration. What people don't realize is doing an interview like this with someone, it's a form of collaboration.
absolutely.
It's a form of creating something, and people don't understand the compounded effect of those types of things. So I what makes your digital marketing agency, and I know this is a loaded question, and
That's
but I want people to be, because but we I think something that you and I really hit and connected on is that there are so many people out there uh, selling things that they shouldn't, making false promises that they can't keep, and they may have a real fancy website and they're charging all this money, whatever. We can talk about that as well. But what makes your digital marketing agency different from others that are just sprouting up or have been out there for as long as you guys have?
yeah, that's a good question. So, we really pride ourselves on, well, for one, we got to perform. So for every single client that we have, we have to perform. Our team treats them just the same as any other client. So whether they're spending, $2,000 a month or 30,000 a month, we have processes in place to make sure we take care of our clients. At the end of the day, if we're taking care of them, they like us, we collaborate with them, we help them, and we actually perform. So we're getting them traffic or leads or whatever it may be. Then at the end of the day, if all those things are checked and they say, hey, these guys are awesome, I love their team, their communication is stellar, their processes are tight, they helped us clean our crap up, then at the end of the day, they're going to be less likely to look at us as a person to cut or a team to cut. And if we mess up on any one of those things, then it's a good chance that say, hey, we're going to cut back and we have to because of COVID-19 or whatever it might be. And sometimes we can avoid that right now, but we need that as strong as possible across all those things. So they go, okay, this is the last thing we can cut. They're generating sales and business for us. We like them, and it's just we cannot get rid of them right now. They're doing such a good job for us. So, and I know that just it's kind of vague, I guess, but there's a lot of work that goes into actually doing the things I just mentioned. We all want to have a good company. I've never heard a business owner go, well, I want to have a shitty company and and not have good clients and not have them happy. But we get caught up in the actual work, and those things get forgotten and missed. If you sign on a new client a year from now, that's not as sexy of a relationship as it was when you signed them. And unless you have things in place to work on that and to constantly meet with them and discuss things. So I've really put a lot of work into, and I got a couple of things I've put out there, talks and articles, but really on the kind of the psychology of a relationship with the client. And it's kind of worked and baked into our process. So it's really like the first 90 days. So if I signed you right now, the first 90 days, you're going to be really antsy, looking at everything we do and just picking everything apart. My whole team's wired to know that's going to happen. So it's communication, it's video calls right now, every week with almost every client. But we do check-ins, reports, all these things to make sure, hey, client, you got what you need? Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? And we've baked this into our process, all the way down to asking for reviews, testimonials, all that stuff that we can really use to get other clients. But it's real. It's legitimate. It's not fake. It's, like you mentioned, all the people out there selling whatever, random services and products. I know plenty of people out there that just, they're selling whatever, but it's it's not worth what you're paying, and there's a pretty good chance you're not going to stay with them very long. So, and I'm not talking about just our industry, but just across the board, there's a lot of crap out there. And so for us, we had to, really look at everything and say, how are we actually going to be the best? How can we say our communication's great? Because that just sounds like, well, everyone's going to say that. We have to prove it. So again, we have processes, we have so many things in place that help us try to accomplish that. And we're trying to improve it all the time. So every month we might come out with something new. And I have a podcast that I host called Journey to 100 Million. And every time we make a tweak, I'm going to record an episode and say, hey, we just did this to improve our process. Maybe it'll help you. And so it's a constant, constantly striving to improve something that we already feel is pretty good. So really that's it. I mean, other than being good at digital marketing and getting the result, you got to look beyond that. If someone doesn't like you, they don't hear from you, it doesn't matter how good a job you're doing. So there's a lot of things that have to line up.
What do you think is one of the biggest mistakes that someone that's looking to build a personal brand or get more visibility, and they think that the digital marketing agency is the answer to all of their prayers? Because you and I both know, we both help people build their brands, and, they put
Sure.
a lot on our shoulders, and they're like, well, I'm not making millions yet. And they put a lot on our shoulders, because when people are looking to expand on their personal brand and their personal business, it's not a lottery ticket. It's a 401k. It needs to be worked every single day, and it's compounded over time. So
Yes.
what's the big mistake that people that have personal brands that look to people like you and me to help them, what's that mistake that they make?
Okay. So first off, I think it's not enough time invested, kind of like you're saying, but in what they're trying to do. So they just want to go, hey, I'm going to be Instagram crushing it, whatever, overnight. There's not really substance there. They just say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to crush it, and I'm going to sell this or myself or whatever, but not really have had the time invested to be like, well, if you've been speaking and coaching people for 20 years, and now you're going to start to capitalize on that. Well, you've put in the time, the sweat equity, you have the authenticity and knowledge to be able to push something like that and be successful with it. I think the other thing is too, you can't automate everything, and you can't have an agency like us or someone like you just go and do all their LinkedIn stuff for them and post everything, automate messages, and not be authentic. There's so much of that out there that is crazy. I do so well at LinkedIn because it's 100% me 100% of the time. We might use systems to like set tasks for ourselves to message people as they connect with us, but I still have to manually go do it, and I'll change up the message, but it's me doing it. And I feel like you can automate some things at some times, emails, stuff like that. But when it's you on your personal profiles, I feel like everyone thinks, well, I can just pay for someone to do that, or I can get some kind of automated system or buy likes and followers, and this is just not going to work.
There's something to be said about the art of human connection. And if anyone is connected to me on LinkedIn, it says human connection specialist, because, what I teach people is to do things on their own. I believe in outsourcing. Don't get me wrong. I think
Sure.
outsourcing is absolutely vital when you're building a business and a brand, but you can't automate human connection.
Yeah.
Just taking time, like literally it's this easy, just taking time and creating one post a day that's your own and spreading that omnipresently on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn is going to do so much for your business you could not even imagine. And that's
Yeah.
I put the weight of my success, on various different things. And I think one of them is my consistency in how I show up each and every day. And my team knows my number one rule. And if you ask any of them, they all say, don't touch Scott's social media. That's my number. They can, they will post in my private groups to obviously build the know, like, and trust. But on my personal stuff,
Yeah.
no, every single post. I have like 3,800 posts on Instagram. I've written every single one. On LinkedIn, I've been creating at
Yeah.
least one piece of content every day for the last 5 years. That's all me. On Facebook, I post 3 to 4 times every day for the last 7 years. That is all me. When you are that uber consistent, something really good is going to build from it. So,
Yep.
so, so
Absolutely.
So Kevin, for people that don't know where to begin as far as building their brand, and at what point do you feel, and again, you and I are in the same space where not every client is a good fit for us. And we will honestly say, listen, you're not where you
Yeah.
need to be yet. Let's touch base in a couple months. What's the sweet spot as far as when is someone actually ready to have a digital marketing agency like yours or like something that I do? When is that person actually ready for it, where they're going to be in that space where they're going to see the results that they're looking for?
Sure. So, well, I would say just kind of give it to explain us. So, for us, we don't work with individuals, but we work with businesses and companies, and we do have some kind of requirements where they should be for us to work with them. And I think some is financial, right? So for us, we're looking for someone that's doing $2 million or more, that's been in business for 5 years, so they're stable. Honestly, yeah, we say no to a lot of businesses, and we turn down businesses all the time that are not a good fit, whether it's financial, whether it's just the industry that we're not good at. So we'll admit, hey, we have never done well with this type of work, and we don't want to take it on because we're not here to disappoint. The other one may be that it's, hey, these people look like they're really a pain, and we're not interested. Our people aren't interested. I don't want to put that burden on my team. And then other things could be that they just are a mess. Like they're all over the place. They're not organized. They're not prepared to work with a team like ours. And so there's a lot of reasons why we wouldn't work with somebody. I think from an individual standpoint, it's really looking at, again, where you are in your career. And is this something that you are fully committed to? Or is this something that where you have another business and this is kind of a side thing you're trying to start up and build this personal brand? And you got to commit. And are you actually the person you're saying you're going to be? I give talks all the time on controlling your personal brand. I give some talks on where it's, you have a brand no matter what. So whether it's Scott, the criminal, the liar, whatever it may be, right? I'm not saying you're all those things, but whatever your brand is, it exists. What are you going to do to change that and to influence it in the right direction? You have that power. You might have to start over. You might have to put a lot of work in. But if it's not authentic and you're not ready to commit 100%, I don't think you're ready. And especially not ready to hire someone to help you take it to that next level. Again, so if we're looking at a client that's like, hey, I'm kind of thinking about doing this service over here and selling this. Well, when you sign on with us, we are ready to freaking, go. So if those things aren't ready, you don't have pricing, material, all these things that your clients can expect to have, then you're definitely not ready.
Kind of thinking about it, maybe, sort of, not sure. When, if, and that's a great point. If you are indecisive with whatever you're looking to achieve, you don't have a shot.
Yeah, you got to be like deep down, like, I know
Crystal
this is what I
clear.
want to do. Yeah, because then that passion comes out, right? So if you're like, I am doing this, and everyone's like, you can't do that, well, you're probably onto something. You're gonna, so you need to be like, I'm doing this, and that's it. I don't care if you can't help me, someone else is gonna help me. If you're in that mindset, you're probably gonna do very well. And I think people will see that. They'll see that passion, and that's where it really all comes down to. If you have the passion or not. If you don't have the passion, you need to look at something else. And whether that's going to make you a lot of money or not, that's to be determined. But you got to do something that you're passionate about, and then people, they can sense that. I mean, especially if you're doing social media or video, like you can't be halfway. Like you have to be all in, and that's going to resonate. And people are going to say, man, you're just so fired up about what you're doing. And then people like that, and you're going to get a big following and all the other little things that come with it.
So speak to, and I'm sure that you've had these conversations with people before, where people have come to you guys and they've wanted to work with you. And I have people every week that come to me for this, and they've quote unquote been burned before.
Yeah.
They've spent a shit ton of money on products and services and coaches and agencies, and they quote unquote didn't get what they thought they should get back. So, because again, if we let those negative past experiences dictate what we actually want to achieve, we're never going to take those risks. We're never going to take those chances to actually find something that's right. I mean, Kevin, I know this is a weird analogy, right? What if every single one of us married the first girlfriend that we ever had?
Oh, Lord.
Sometimes you have to go through multiple relationships, good, bad, or indifferent, to find the right fit. So
Sure.
Wouldn't you agree that sometimes you have to have those experiences with coaches or agencies that may have not worked to actually show you what you're actually looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's with, man, all kinds of things. Like for one, first point, when we've had plenty of clients come to us in the past where they're like, I want they want extras, or they want discounts, or they want guarantees because they've been burned. And for one, I don't agree that because someone else burned you, we suffer and give price discounts and guarantees and all this other stuff because of what someone else did. We don't do that. And so for one, it's hard to work with a client that's been burned a lot because they come in with these, they just come in a different mindset. They're expecting to get burned again. And so they're usually hard to please. We're always up for that challenge. So for one, sometimes that could be not a fit because they want exceptions made because they've been burned. And so it's like, hey, just because the other person burns you doesn't mean we have to suffer for it. So for one, that's something to kind of look out for. I've actually had someone ask one time, hey, I paid this person this much money to build my website, and I paid them this much. So can you build a new website for half the price? So, yeah, it's like, no, I can't, because I didn't get that money. They did. But anyway, so that's just one thing to watch out for. Those clients may be hard to turn around and please. The other point, absolutely. I've been part of lots of business groups, networking groups that have not worked, that I don't like. And you go on, and now I'm part of some that are just amazing and have absolutely worked and grew my business and allowed me to have mentors. And we're part of a mastermind group now that has just been awesome for us. And it takes a lot of time, and you start to not believe that these groups are worth being part of, and maybe I should just not do anything. And sometimes it takes a little while to find the kind of place to be. But yeah, we're not going to be a fit for everybody. So if they don't like what we did, the next company might be perfect for them. We just might not be a fit. But I think you shouldn't give up or blame the company you're about to hire for all the things that have happened in the past. So
I think the same can be said for any network marketer, any entrepreneur. Some Not everyone's going to be the right fit for your business, your team, and your brand, and that's okay, because that's why there's different flavors. That's why there's different types of
exactly.
foods. That's why there's different types of colors. Like, there's something out there for everyone. So Kevin, what would you say for someone that is not ready for a digital marketing agency, or maybe a branding specialist like myself and yourself? What are one or two things that people can do organically every day to start really building that brand, where it's going to start giving them the leverage where eventually they can onboard a company like yours or something like I do later on down the road?
Sure. So I think it's good to kind of start with the basics. I mean, in your mind, what you're trying to do, but I do a couple things, and one of the things is almost like you would do for a company, right? Write down who you want to be, your personal brand. Who do you want to be? So if it's I want to be Superman or whatever it may be, what do you want to be known as, portrayed as, and then write things in a sense that you have already accomplished them. So for me, I'm a digital marketing expert. I started using that before I could claim I'm a digital marketing expert. It doesn't, I believe it. It's happening. I'm going to say it the way it's going to be. And eventually I will become that. But start talking about yourself in the way that you want to be recognized at some point. Be your brand. Write down what you actually want to be so that you have that as a guideline. From there, I do something that's pretty cool and pretty simple for someone to use, but I make what I call social themes. So it's basically like a posting board, kind of design board. Of course, I'm a designer, so I have design software and stuff like that. But what I do is I have themes, and maybe I'll have for social media. So this will be like maybe there's a theme for certain days, but I can start to kind of categorize and pre-make posts and stuff ahead of time to help my schedule to get ahead of things. But I might highlight a team member on a certain day, and I'll rotate this. But I have a purpose and posting schedule planned out, and it's very easy for me to do. And I'll, design them with a certain kind of style and theme and all that stuff. But they all have a purpose. And up the top of this design board, I kind of have written what are the things that I want to talk about in my personal brand and what Kevin Daisey represents. And so for me, it's really entrepreneurship, culture. So company culture is a big piece of what I talk about. Client retention. So I talk about how our process is. So I have a lot of experience in that, and I care about that, and we're always trying to work on that. So those are things that I ask people if I'm going to speak at something. Those are topics I can cover. Those are things that I'm known for being knowledgeable about. So my post will kind of coincide with those things right below that, and I just start to design those if I got an idea, or we just promoted a employee. That might be a post. So I do a lot of stuff like that, but it makes it clean and easy. And then someone like yourself or me can say, hey, here's what I've been doing. Look at my social media. Here's kind of my ideas, and now I need someone to help me take it to another place, a better scale. But if you're not organized already, then it's hard for someone. Like, we have to try to pull out of them what they want to do, what they see for their personal brand. And I think if they can start to get organized themselves and have a plan and try to execute on that, then it's going to be a lot more helpful to have someone like us come in and say, okay, I see what you're trying to do. Here's what we can do to help you and take this to the next level.
And I just want to clarify for people, it's not faking it till you make it, but sometimes you have to embody what it is that you want to be before it actually happens. And it's something that I learned
Absolutely.
from one of my first mentors, Susan Sly. She said, Scott, you have to have millionaire habits before the money ever shows up. Because Kevin, think about the people that win the lottery, right?
Yeah.
90% of them end up losing their fortune within the first 2 to 3 years because they haven't built the millionaire mindset and habits that it takes to actually retain and grow that money. So I think that was perfectly stated, and I think it coincides along with everything that you just mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Don't fake it. Obviously, you
yeah,
you gotta have that, but you have to have confidence, 100%. And so you got to own it. And then, if you can say it about yourself and that's where you want to be, then you're on the right path. You're on the right track. If you
absolutely.
say that I'm a digital marketing expert and you're just kind of like, that's not all that great. Like this,
I guess I am.
yeah. But it has to be like, that's what I am and that's what I want to be.
Yeah.
And eventually you wake up one morning and go, oh crap. I'm kind of being recognized as that. And that's what I can confidently now say I am. So,
What you think
and
about
then what's
most
the next
often,
next thing,
yeah, what you think about most often is what you become, and
That's
it's
it.
you got to rewire that. All right, so before we wind down, I do have one final question, but before we get to that, how can people find out more about you and your agency and how you could potentially help them?
Sure. So my agency is called Array Digital. So it's ARRAY. You can go to our website is thisisarray.com. Really, if you want to know more, just look that up. You can also check out my podcast, which hopefully Scott will be here on here soon, called Journey to 100 Million. My agency, we have a very public goal to reach 100 million in reoccurring revenue by 2030. So we started a podcast that we really talk about our journey on the way there, ups and downs, tips and all that stuff. And we're a little over 2 million last year. Hopefully on track to be well, with the COVID-19 it's a little tougher, but we're on our way to probably 3 million this year. So we got a ways to go, but other than that, check us out there. For me personally, LinkedIn is where I spend most of my time. You can check out just Kevin Daisey, so it's Daisey, and check me out on LinkedIn. Connect with me there, and it's me personally. So if you message me, I'll respond.
Yeah. And I can attest to that because I did message him and he did respond. And it's not a bot. It is Kevin. And all those, for all the listeners, all that information will be in the show notes of how you can connect with him and find out. And obviously, I'll put his podcast link so you guys can follow him on his journey to 100 million. So, Kevin, final question before we sign off. What does success truly mean to you?
Well, really, it's somewhat monetary. So I feel that if you want to, I'm big on giving back, whether it's donating money or volunteering and things like that as well. We do a lot of that with our business, and I do a lot of it personally. Honestly, I feel if we're not successfully or successful financially, then we can't do as much as we want to do. So it's really tied to, we have to be financial or have financial success, and the more the better, the more we can give back. And so that's really what I look at. Is, a lot of people just volunteer their time and that they don't grow their companies, or they're on tons of boards and they kind of lose sight of things where they could have given probably 10 times that if their company was successful and they were stable and financially well off. So that's just one thing. The other obviously is time and family. I have 2 kids, wife. So success for me is, my business growing and my employees being taken care of, and then also having that time with family to take care of them and to give them the best chance they can have. So again, it kind of comes back to financial, but it's really just a means to an end, I guess. So for me, I just feel like that we have to be successful. It's our obligation, right, as people, and it's completely in your control.
The more that you give, the more that you can get, and then you can do more with. And I think that's was beautifully stated and complete alignment with that. And it's not It is not greedy to want to make a lot of money, because the more money you make, the more you can actually do good with. And like you said, that if you're not making a lot of money, you can still volunteer, you can still dedicate your time. But, it's not that money makes the world go round, but when you have more money, you can do more with it, and you can impact even more lives than you can imagine. So I think that was
Sure.
beautifully stated. And Kevin, thank you again so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you.
So guys, as always, please take a screenshot of wherever you're listening this from and share your takeaways and your aha moments. So please enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you again so much for checking out this week's episode. And if you can, head over to iTunes, search for Network Marketing Made Simple, leave me a 5-star rating, basic review. I would be grateful for all of the support you guys can give me. And again, if you'd be interested in learning more how to utilize LinkedIn to grow your business, your brand, and your bank account, head over to my website, www.scottaaron.net. Fill out the form for your free 15-minute discovery call so I can learn more about you, your business, and how we can work together. And again, thank you guys so much. Grateful for you all, and I'll see you next time.